Welcome everyone to the fifth CUNY Research Scholars Program Tech Fellows AI lecture series. This is the fifth lecture in a series of 6 lectures for this year. I would like everyone to know and invite everyone that there will also be a May 6th panel in which Dr. Azhar will also be sitting on that panel as well. There will be 5 speakers on the panel talking about AI and the future of work, and covering lots of topics related to what happens in an AI world as people prepare for the job market. Will certain job categories be eliminated? What kinds of new opportunities will be opening up? So that should be a very exciting panel on May 6th. We'll be circulating that flyer widely very shortly. And yes, Dr. Azhar, I'll give you screen share access. And now I would like to introduce Dr. Mohammad Azhar from Borough of Manhattan Community College. You can see the logo on his screen there. And Dr. Azhar will introduce himself a little bit more fully. But for the moment, I would just like to thank Dr. Azhar for making time this morning to talk about human-robot collaboration. And we're all looking forward to this talk. And now I will hand it over to you, Dr. Azhar.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm so happy to be here. And a lot of you here, despite the earthquake, I guess we're still here. So I'll show my presentation maybe right now. Let's see if it goes. Can you see my screen as a full screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. So welcome everybody. So I'm a professor at the CS department at BMCC. I teach computer science, and my passion robotics and my research in robotics. I'm going to talk about today working with AI and robots, how AI and robot collaborate will improve society. We'll discuss it today within the hour. So I'm not going to go over this, but I do have various NSF and other projects we work on. But my research in robotics, I usually work on assistive robots that helps with people with dementia or kids with autism. I also do K-12 outreach with the high school students, because I believe that's a very important part of the process for getting students ready for the undergraduate schooling. So today's agenda will be about robot, and we talk about human-robot collaboration. We'll talk about robots and AI, and then I'll show about some of the research we did in our campus. So my first question to all of you guys: if you met a robot in the street, how do you know it's a robot? So you can put your answer in the chat, or you can say it loud. Movements, okay. Chances movement. It's made of metal, okay. What else? Awkward movement, not quite human-like, okay. Uncanny valley differences, right? Doesn't seem like a human is controlling it, okay. Okay. Speaking, all right. So I guess we have this preconceived notion about the robot and then how robots are supposed to be. But if you think about the designer of the robot, also intentional about making this robot that way that you know when you look at them in the street that that's a robot. Like if you look at a Roomba robot, it's a robot. You know that it's a machine, it's an autonomous robot that is cleaning your rooms and cleaning your places. But the human and robot, I think, as you know, things are going, is getting more human-like. But the designer of the robot, they're consciously making sure the robots are most like it looks like a robot, right? So when you look at a machine, you know it's a machine, it's not a human. But is blurring the the line because you see that more and more robot is going to look human-like. And in Japan, there's a professor who made a robot just like his daughter, and I think he was presenting it, and when the daughter came in front of the robot, she started crying because so uncanny valley, because she sees herself in the robot, which is like human-like. So that's called the uncanny valley part, where someone mentioned that, when it's kind of awkward and you don't know what to expect from this thing, right? But we're not there yet. So in 1979, this is the definition we had: a reprogrammable, multifunctional, manipulator designed to move materials, parse tools, or specialized, devices, through various program motion for the performance of a variety of tasks. That was the Robot Institute of America, okay, 1979. So very industrial stuff we were working before. But then later on, okay, a robot is something that senses the world in some way, does some sort of computation, deciding what to do, and then acts on the world outside itself as a result. This is Dr. Rodney Brooks, from director of MIT's Computer Science AI Library Lab, and he's the one defined it, not so long ago. So this is basically the model we use for the robot these days. We want to make the robot to do very specific tasks, not everything, but it's not a multitasker. Just one task does very well. So Roomba could be one example of that. Okay. So I think maybe we can show this video. This is like an old video. You can see that like how old this video is. And we still, some of the stuff is still not there. But
Give your GoDaddy managed WordPress hosting a boost with AI. Just answer a few questions.
this is a 2-minute video. Can you guys hear the sound?
I do. I like to build robots. I like to program them. To me, a robot is something that's a machine, and it somehow senses the world. And then it computes, thinks about what the sensors tell it, and then it acts in the world. For a number of years, building robots to operate in unstructured environments, we've been building them with 3 different levels of control. The primitive level, where the motors and sensors operate, a skills level where they have basic sort of skills, and then a behavior level, which gives them behaviors like, going through a mountain pass, finding some dirt on the floor to clean up, etc.
No, no, you're not to do that. No. Not appropriate. No.
We are mechanism. If we are machines, then in principle, at least, we should be able to build machines out of other stuff, which are just as alive as we are. They're trying to make robots that are safe to interact with, so ultimately doing stuff with us and partnering with us. This is going to be important in our old age. We're going to have more robotics help and assistance. We're not there yet, but I think we're making good progress towards it.
So I guess if you can think about it, we're not there yet. We're still not there yet. But a lot of the videos, robot, you see, they're still here and they're getting better. And we will come back to it later. So the another definition of robot is I can define a robot, but I know when I see one. Okay, this is by Joseph Engelberger, who's by some considered father of robotics. Now here are a couple of robots. I don't know if you've seen any of this recently. So this is like a works Landroid. This is like a parallel bow robot for education robot. This is a Roomba robot. This one is called Jibo, which is like a social robot for the assistant. You have a Zenbo here, which is another social robot. You've probably seen the video of Atlas. Anybody seen the video of Atlas? Can you put in the chat, yes or no? No. Okay. So I have to show you guys the Atlas robot. So this is like an older version of Atlas, but the newer Atlas version is really, you know, amazing. And then you see here the robot called Da Vinci, which is like a surgical robot, and they use in the hospital. Jibo, by the way, is again came from MIT lab. Dr. Cynthia Brazel was the lead on that, and then I think the company was bankrupt. I still have one of those robots in the lab. So if you look at the robot, you know, in general, so the robot could be like, you know, different way, but I think we want robot to be, you know, with locomotion, which can move, right? Or they can manipulate with a grip or something. Like example here in the Da Vinci can have a grip and then doing some surgical operation. You definitely have to AI in there. That's some kind of intelligence there, right? And then that intelligence in a different place right now because of the Chat GPT and all those generative AI stuff is coming out. But this is going to be at a different level of, you know, robotics and AI. I'll come back and talk a little bit more. And of course, you're going to have sensors. So if you look at the robot here, Jibo is more like stationary robot, kind of stay in the same place, whereas Roomba can move around, right? Or Atlas can move around. And then you have educational robot that's just only for using in the classroom for teaching something, right? So when you think about it here, like given the types of robot in the spectrum, what capabilities might a robot need to do a task? I think that's something we have to think about whenever you design a robot. So the first of all, we have to think about the law of physics will apply. You have the gravity, friction, entropy, and you make sure that we have the collision avoidance is built in because the robot can, if robot is moving around the world, you know, we need to make sure you know how to avoid objects and stuff like that. And those are pretty much, you know, done right now. Most of the robots capable of doing that. And then physical bodies have range, strength, and distance and shape limitation. We need effector to help it move. So effector could be like you have legs or you have wheels, right? You need an energy source, some kind of battery or something to keep the robot, you know, energized to move, do stuff. And you also remember, you know, physical body has a limitation. Like as a human, we also have a limitation, right? It takes time to speed up or slow down. So body in action tends to stay in action, body at rest tends to stay in rest. So you have to think about all this stuff. So the next important part is that sensing, and that's like a very important part. And I cannot stress how important that is because if you don't have the sensing, like as a human, if you don't sense, like we didn't sense the earthquake, then you don't know you need to run out of the building or something is falling, and you're all the sensitive work, right? Sensor is a very important part of moving in this world and being active in the world, right? So robot get information about the state and environment by a sensor. So you have state description of the sensor. So you have internal sensor and you have external sensor. So internal sensor basically talks about what's happening inside the robot, like robot may be running out of batteries or things like that. But external sensor, you tell the robot, okay, I'm seeing a object in front of me. I need to stop. I need to go around that, right? And sensor could be classified as active and passive. Typically, robot has a suite of sensor capable of monitoring features such as battery level, like distance sensors and that kind of stuff. So robot can determine its own state using all the sensors. Like, where am I in the world? Where am I supposed to go next? There's a lot of research on that navigation part, in general. So I think that the research is much more mature than, let's say, 10 years ago. You can get an off-the-shelf software with the navigation and put a robot and then let the robot move and stuff. The type of sensor I was talking before is that you have internal sensor, like to tell you the internal, which is called proprioceptive sensor, that basically tell you the power level of the robot, like how much battery you have. Temperature is very important. So robot when it works, it gets heated. So for example, I have a Now robot, those humanoid robot, and if I work like with them like more than half an hour, maybe an hour, robot started heating up, and robot does say that, hey, I'm heating up, can you turn me off or something, right? And then you have the external sensor, basically that basically helps you navigate in the real world. You have the distance to the object. You have to think about the images. The robot can see and process it and all that. So here's a couple of sensors you can think about, simple to complex. So right here is a light sensor, which is a very simple sensor. You can have an Arduino robot, and a robot can detect dark from light. You have ultrasonic sensor. You can have a lidar sensor, GPS sensor. So all this kind of sensor you can have. So the next part is the brain. So you need to have a brain for the robot so the robot will decide what to do. So here, you can have a Arduino inside or Raspberry Pi. They're becoming more powerful. You can think about it, because now those can have a lot of processing power. And I have robot in the lab which runs on Raspberry Pi. Okay. You can also put a laptop on a robot, and we also have robot like that. Basically, the brain of the robot is a laptop, and laptop basically processes everything for you. And then using the sensor of the robot, it proceeds. I'll show you some pictures afterward, and video. And you also can have a computer altogether, right? Now, other thing in the robot world, what happened is that sometimes you have a local brain, meaning basically robot already has a brain that needs to have some kind of brain. When I say, how powerful the brain is, right? So you talk about a small brain like a Raspberry Pi, and then you want to do more computation. The Raspberry Pi doesn't, kind of compute all this stuff. So what happened is that you have do the computation offline, right? Or like you do it in the cloud. So then you basically connect to the other robot, or maybe other computers of the robot that can access and then get the information from there. So I'll show you some example of that also a little later. So is there more? So robot can sense, robot can think, maybe. What else should the robot concern for the robot to exist in the world? Can you guys tell me any thought on that? Like, what do you think? So robot can sense, robot can think using the brain we talked about. Like, what else the robot should be concerned with? What should be concerned with for the robot to exist in the world? Safety, very good. Anything else? What the role is? Okay, utility. Okay, a lot of people say safety. So safety is definitely important, right? Can we experience emotion? Okay. So so if you look at, have you ever seen this robot before? Anybody watch this show? It's called BattleBot. Every time I tell my student I'm going to do robot competition, professor, can we do BattleBots? I said, no, we're not going to do that. So this is like complete distraction. So that we won't have this kind of robot. This is for more entertainment for anything else, right? But you see here, robot can do worse. Like you have a 300 security robot. This is like 2016. It runs over a toddler. It was very awful, right? And you see the robot on the right side here. This is a robot in Russia. It basically escaped from the lab and it's just crossing street right now. That's the story you have here. So robot can, cause problem. But in terms of robot action goes, if you think about it, you have the effectors which enable the robot to take action, right? And change the states or actuator like muscles, motors, okay, they can really make the robot work. Locomotion, when we say locomotion, we talk about moving around. Manipulation, we mean like, you have handling the object. Degrees of freedom is, how many ways they can move. So if you look at this picture here, you have the role on pitch, right? So if you talk about helicopter has a 6 degree of freedom, car has a 2 degree of freedom, right? Your arm has a 7 degree of freedom. This robot that I have in the lab, which is now a robot, it has a 5 degree of, freedom in the arm and 25 degree of freedom altogether. So if you look at this here in the ecosystem, the robot, what does the robot need outside itself? So it might need a wireless control. It needs maybe some computing, heavy computing offline. It needs maybe cloud computing. It also needs maybe AI deep learning. We talked about right now. We're in a different place right now, and that's gonna be prominent in the robotics world. And then you need the sensors. You need the remote video. You need some GPS maybe to understand where in the world. And then you need operating system, like robot operating system. Now, so let's talk about quickly about the human-robot collaboration. So when you talk about collaborating with each other, right, we can think about how robot can be collaborative. So a robot can, be used as a tool, like a similar to screwdriver. So in this case, I'll give you an example of a surgical robot that maybe doctors from California, teleoperating the robot in somewhere in the war scenario, right? Helping a soldier. Okay, so that would be an example. Like, or if you think about when the space mission happened, like those astronauts usually control the robot using a teleoperator, so they go outside and kind of control the robot that way sometime, right? But we also can think of robot as partner that can perform low-level tasks autonomously. So basically, it's like you have a helper, right? Kind of help you to do stuff. So when we talk about the robot as partner, you can also think about two ways of partnering. One could be a supervisor. That means you are basically taking responsibility as a human. You make all the decision, okay, about the joint actions and then what is going to happen in the world. You're a supervisor. You're controlling everything yourself, right? Peer robot, more like which human and robot share responsibility for making decision about joint action and action that affect others. So here you are kind of working with other robot, and robot knows some information. Robot can help you with something, and you can help robot with something. So you're kind of working as a peer to work together. So this is the world we want to get into, where we can have helper robot to help us do different things, and it's already happening. And we'll maybe show some video at some point today, where how the robots are being helpful in the real world. Like Roomba, for example, that's an example of, it's not a peer robot, it's like a supervisor robot, but robot is being helpful to cleaning your room. But you cannot work with the robot, right? Like you cannot communicate with the robot, So let's meet the robot. I showed you before the parallax board. This is the education robot. This is a Roomba robot. This is the iCreate 2 robot, which came from the Roomba. Anybody know the Roomba story, or how it came out? So Roomba basically was a robot, came from MIT lab. So so there's a robot company called iRobot. That's the name of the company. You guys probably know. iRobot is the company, and they used to make mine detecting robot. So in the war, so it kind of go around in the war scenario and detect mines. So it and then it kind of find out how to defuse them or get help with whatever. So that was the robot. That's robot kind of going on the field and detecting mines. So then MIT professors and MIT researcher thought that, okay, how can we use this robot for our own house, our own places? So they came up with the idea, how about we, instead of detecting mines, we're going to detect dirt. And that was the very simple idea they came up with. And they came up with the first version. And that cost, can you guess how much it cost, the first robot? Any number in mind? $40,000. I think I heard the number like, 10,000, 15,000. I think that was the number I heard. But nobody want to buy a, robot for $10,000 to clean your home, because, you probably want to clean yourself or find someone to help you. So now, anybody know how much Roomba costs? Or any kind of autonomous Roomba-like robot costs? $200, exactly. So how cheap it is? It's gonna get cheaper. So it's really cheap now. So I know the Chinese version, I have a colleague of mine, he always proud of the robot he bought for like $150. And robot can navigate and also have the mapping of the room. And the app kind of shows that which part of the robot moves. But his wife get annoyed by the robot very often because something gets stuck and it doesn't know what it's doing. But so in terms of the robot of the, like Roomba world, you have some more smart robot. He knows where it is in your room, and it knows like where it clean already and where needs to be clean. And the other robot, like $200 robot, usually doesn't have the navigation, a lot of them. And what you do with this robot, it is going to keep cleaning until it runs out of battery. Okay, just keep moving around just randomly. All right. So this is a robot called deep learning robot. So here I have something like that in my lab. And this one has, you see all the sensor, 3D with camera. You have a, robot operating system. You have all those brain over here. And then you have the mobile base, just like the Roomba. This is more like, military robot. So, for bomb diffusion and stuff like, they've probably seen them. Like whenever something happened like that, this kind of robot kind of teleoperated, and then someone is coming, and there's a little arm here. And it's also from iRobot. And these are really expensive robots. And then this is the Now robot. So this is more education and research robot. And so they have been using it for a competition called RoboCup. All right. I don't know if you've seen this one before. Let me just show you quickly a video. That'll give you an idea. So I'm gonna put here Now robot, and I'm gonna put RoboCup software. So I don't know if anybody's seen this video before. So let's see. This is. Can you see my video? Okay. So this is a Now robot. You can see here how they are, playing in the field, and they can get up on their own. But the problem is very difficult because you have to move and also kick the ball, and this robot, supposed to catch the ball, right? So you have just like a soccer. And so there's also simulated version of it. This is the simulation version of the robot. This robot moves faster. But every year there's a RoboCup competition. Those who are interested, this is like a very awesome competition to go to, but you need to have the robot and you have to practice and stuff. I took one of my team, not for the Now robot, for the other competition, for the home robot competition. I'll show you the video. So this is the previous robot they used before. It's from Sony Aibo dog. That was 4 legs, and they changed it to 2007 to this 2-legged robot. And ideas to kind of this big challenge that can this robot play with human, right? This robot, has getting more powerful, but it doesn't have that much, computing power. So a lot of the times, sometimes it happens offline. And you can see here, this is kind of playing soccer, and it gets up. But the other thing is like how quickly you act, right? So this is very important in the human world. Like when something happened, you have to react immediately. And you see that maybe there's a video somewhere, you can see that when robot sees the ball, let's say it's the goalkeeper, right? It sees the ball and it's make the decision is go towards stop the ball, but it is slow. So by the time he figure out how to go there, ball already left him and he just fall down because he tried to catch the ball. Because that reaction time needs to be improved, and it's getting better, every day. So just gonna stop here, and I'm gonna go back to the here. So the other thing you see here, you have the surgical robot. So this is basically, I think there's a museum in New Jersey. Completely escaping my mind. Was it the Science Museum in New Jersey? You guys know the name? I remember now.
Liberty Science Fair.
That's it. Thank you. So I think that one has in there like a surgical robot example. You can take a look at there. But this is basically in a different place right now. This surgical robot. So back to our definition, as we talked about here. Robot is something that senses the world in some way, then some sort of competition, deciding what to do, then acts in the world outside as a result, right? So we said that it senses, and then it decide, what to do with the competition, right? And then it acts in the world. Some kind of action has to happen. So right now, maybe we can talk a little bit more about that, what is happening with the world of AI. So you guys know about the Moore's Law? Anybody know the Moore's Law? Yes. So Shan says double. So Sean, do you want to say it one more time? What does it say? What do you mean doubles? Is the Moore's law? Anybody? Not exponentially, yeah, but the idea of the Moore's law is Gordon Moore was the founder, right? Is a co-founder of Intel, okay? And when he mentioned something in the order that every 18 months, the speed of the processing power will be doubled. This is more like, but the price will remain the same. So if you think about it, if you buy an iPhone like 2 years ago and iPhone buy right now, their power, or you buy a computer 2 years ago and buy a computer now, the power almost double. Like think about the Mac, if you're following Mac, like M1, M2, and the processor like is the best computer in the world, and then they also have the processing power better. But this is happening. What is also happening, the processors are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So you have a very smaller chip you can put into devices. So this is very good for robot because you can have more power in the robot world. So Moore's are kind of helping on the process. So you have a lot of power. So when we talk about AI is an umbrella term for machine capable of perception, logic, and learning. And then you have a machine learning, which employs algorithm that learn from the data and make prediction and decision, whose performance improve when exposed to the more data over time. And the deep learning uses many layers of neural network to build algorithms that find best way to perform tasks on their own based on the vast set of data. So think about like as a human, that's what we're doing. We learn stuff in the when we're young, and then now we're operating in the world as autonomously, right? And then we try to figure out what to do next, what we do, what we not to do, right? So we're getting to the point, like if you talk about ChatGPT, for example, like it trained the ChatGPT with so much data, right? Now it can give you answer, but they're not right. They're not always correct, but it knows how to answer some question, right? And like freestyle, which is like natural language processing, which is amazing. And I remember 2007 or so, which is not so long ago, I met a professor who has been working, in the natural language processing for almost 30 years. And she mentioned that this particular research in natural language processing will not go anywhere until we have a lot of data. And then you have all those data like Siri, Google, everybody's devices, right? You have came up with all those data collection mechanism, because every time you speak to these devices, it gets those data and then use the data to learn it. And if you think about how much better these devices went in terms of natural language processing. If you remember, anybody remember the movie phone? So movie phone, right? If you talk to the movie phone, even the native English speaker, if you speak to movie phone, somebody doesn't understand. Now, if you say something in the order of something, the machines are picking up and it's getting better and better. So what does it mean for the robot? So I'm just going to come back to the robot also a little bit more. So if you think about the things we talk about, the moving robot, we call it autonomous mobile robot. And you also have like autonomous guided vehicle, which is AGV, like over the iRobot one. And then the humanoid robot, who's like human-like Now Robot is one of them, Atlas is one of them. Okay, hybrid is something in between, and you have robot arm. There's a lot of robot arms out there for like working in the industry, like making cars, making things and then they are already being used a lot. Okay, and then you have the cobots, basically a robot that kind of work with you, right? And that's another way we're making the robot world better. So let me just show you something quickly, and I want to give you a little challenge quickly for maybe a couple of minutes. Let me do that first, okay? Let me give you this challenge over here. So I like you to think of a robot that you want to create, okay? That will impact the society, okay? It could be elder care, it could be medical care, it could be environment, it could be search and rescue, or city in New York. I usually do this in a breakout room, but I want to do that right now. It's going to take a lot of our time. But I want to maybe, so hold your thoughts, so write your idea down, right? I'll give you maybe 3 minutes. Okay, what kind of robot do you want and what the robot's supposed to do? Okay, so all of you kind of hold your horses, like don't type it in the chat yet. Just type it up. When I say, when I finish the time, 3 minutes, and everybody press enter, we'll see everybody's answer. Okay, so I want to set some unique ideas. So So what people come up with. So I'm gonna start the clock now. Okay, so this is what kind of robot you want to make, okay, or what to have in your world, and it can, you know, impact any of those society areas. So 3 minutes on the clock. Just type your answers in the chat. When we say go, then you enter. Okay, wait 1 more minute, and then we'll say yes, and then please don't type yet. Thirty more seconds. Okay, let's go. All right, everybody. AI robot that takes note for you. Robot can carry objects. AI robot to take notes for you. What else? Environmental issues such as picking up trash, of course. Jasper says replace human in doing dangerous jobs. That can risky tasks like rescuing people from fires. Okay, what else? Robot for household work, of course. Robot that apply for grant, applies to emails. Applies to email, that's right. Elder care, of course, that's a very important one. And robot that can replace dangerous activity that human need to do. Anyone else have any other ideas? Okay, all right, this was good, right? Hopefully you can see that I like to think about this thing because I hope that you're going to be either a user or maybe you know, be a designer or maybe part of the, you know, development process. So, you know, and I think you need to be aware of the robot, what can do and what you want to do, and whatever the robot we're going to see, we want to create, we're going to create this robot in the future. So if someone mentioned that elder care robot, they're already, you know, working on the research on that. There's a nurse robot. Ron mentioned CUNY can help organize event. Absolutely, I need a robot like that. All the robot I need, you know. Robot can teach, you know. So if you think about the AI chat GPT and all the stuff, like Khan Academy already has a, you know, kind of AI version of that where you can have a tutor kind of robot, you know. But teaching is, I think, is a very high order thing, you know, because as a human, we are more capable of doing a lot of stuff. I think machine will take them to go there. But a lot of the other stuff probably can make it happen, right? So let me show you quickly here. So the other thing we talked about for the robot, that what factors we need to consider is safety, power, redundancy, like trust, right? You want to trust the robot. Fear of the robot is very important, that, you know, you want to bring a robot. In Japan, for example, you know, they are very, you know, robot friendly because they like the robot in their room, in their houses. And I think there's some robot they already have, like people who live alone, they just have a robot and they have there in their house. Japan already has robot which basically help them carry. Basically, it's like a little things you know you arm on, and then you can carry stuff up and down and that kind of stuff. And it's already happening already there. So let me just go here, and then maybe I'll show a video. Ethical consideration. I don't know if you did this before. I think MIT has a website with this ethical consideration. If the robot is an autonomous car, right, like a Google car or Tesla or whatnot, and robot has to decide, like, if getting accident, is it going to save the human or save? And this is very moral question, right? And there's like interesting questions there. I think anybody done this before, like this stuff, the moral robot, a moral AI. No? Yes, Percy did. Okay. So that's exactly the things we're talking about. Because if the human is going to interact with this robot, and robot has to make decision, like autonomous cars going places, and now it's getting into accident, for example, right? What it is do? I mean, does it save the the passenger it has, save the person on the street, right? How does it decide? So this is a very difficult problem. Yes, this is a very difficult problem to address. So we're still looking into it. I don't think anybody have a solution. Okay, so let me show you quickly here. I want to show you guys a little time right now what I have done so far. And then also, I promise you guys to show some robot that is going to be Atlas robot, which is the Boston Dynamics. So Boston Dynamics is one of the biggest robotics company in the world. I think at some point Google owned them. Okay. So let me see if I can show you video. Okay, so this one, am I sharing my screen right now? No. Can you see my screen? Okay, so right here, this is the Atlas robot. So I mean, remember the picture I show you in my slide is this is much more mature robot here. So let's look at it here.
Dance. You didn't even want me around. And now I'm back to let you know I can really shake them down.
But you guys can think that this movement is not easy, right? This is very hard movement. And this robot right here is called Spot. This one right here. This is a four-legged robot. This is a two-legged robot. And you can see the movement here, how fluid that is. By the way, a lot of them are remote control, so they are not really doing on their own. Some of the movements that someone is controlling that. But it's amazing like how much low-level capability robot has, and it can do a lot of stuff. This robot, the Spot robot on the top, the little arm it has, it can open the door. And then you have this robot here. Okay. So that's the Atlas robot. You guys already know about the Tesla. So let me show you my robot that I worked on. I'm really proud of this, the stuff we did. So right here, this one is, let me show you this one. This is the, so this is a collaborative assistive robot, the student who worked with me back in 2017. She came literally on my Tech Equity Day yesterday, Wednesday. We had a Tech Equity Day. And she works in Amazon now as a software developer. But the problem was here is that we want to teach the robot sign language. And again, this robot doesn't have that much vision computing power. So we said, okay, how about we show them images? And then, we make the robot understand the sign language. So that's what we did over here. And then robot is basically looking at the, letter and understand it. And now it's going to go and do the action. So it's going to move around right now. And it's supposed to go and, drop something off. So you got something there. And then now it's going to go and drop it off. Now, the idea came from here is that how to help people with the sign language for this kind of stuff. Like robots are not really capable of understanding sign language, the robot we have. So this whole research was about how to make the robot, sign language capable, right? Or accessible. And so right here, basically, robot seeing the sign is going to stop there. And this is part of also Women in Technology New York project I had. So students get funded for that. And we want to get more promote women in computing. As we know, they have a very less representation in the world of computing, right? In general. So this is that robot, okay? Then I'll show you this robot right here. This is the assisted robot.
Hi, my name is Luis Marcan.
Can you guys see my screen?
This fella you see here is the total.
Can you hear the sound? Okay. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Luis Marcano, and this fella you see here is the Turtlebot 2. We're going to do a demo of the robot, the service robot, right? He's going to the bedroom and grabbing the object that I tell it to grab. The bedroom is over there. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Here we can begin to see the program starting. Go to the bedroom and grab the water bottle. It understood my command, so it will start heading over there. Now it's going to draw a probabilistic roadmap, which it will follow to reach its intended destination. Here, let's see it in action. And once he gets to the coordinates of the bedroom, what he will do is that he will stop for a second, and then it will start color block detection program, which will allow it to distinguish which one of them is the water bottle based on color. As you have seen, it has stopped now, and it should begin. Follow the object, as you can see.
Okay, so that's basically, if you look at this particular solution we came up with, it's an assistive robot. Basically, think about, I think Ron was mentioning before, that how a robot can help them in the household, right? So think about an elderly person telling the robot to go and catch, get me a water bottle from the kitchen, right? So the robot is going there and then grabbing the bottle and coming back to you to, give you the stuff, things like that, right? And you've probably seen this robot like in the also restaurant kind of situation where robot's basically moving around with the food and it just knows how to go from point A to point B and then kind of get the stuff done and then come back to the location. But this one has a lot of problem it solved here. We did the natural language processing. Robot, you speak to the robot understand what we said. Robot navigate in the world, means know exactly where in the map is the bedroom is, right? And then it goes understand also the, that was the navigation part. And then you have the bottle is understand the bottle. So that's basically image recognition, right? And you understand, object detection, right? Is able to understand what it is and then, detect things from the other things. So this is also, this here is kind of machine learning model, kind of very helpful, where you can train the system to understand different things and understand what it is. Then I have this particular video here. So this one is a assistive human robot system with multiple robot for autism children. And what we did was over here is that our goal is to kind of come up with some solution that how we can create some robotic solution for kids with autism so they can improve the social interaction or also the, their collaboration skills, right? So we came up with some scenario where we can do that kind of stuff. So, and what we did here is that our question was basically how can we design a robot solution to assist, or improve their collaborative skill. That's basically one of the main problems. The other problem was, how can we collect those data and give it to the parents or give it to the, the doctors, right? And that's another problem. That's basically more like in the cloud solution. So when you collect the data and then you do that. So here, if you look at this here, this is the Now Robot use again. And the Now Robot has been used in the kids with autism research a lot, and for like maybe improving their social interaction because you interact with the robot and then kids tends to do that. Now, here's the thing I want to mention over here. I was doing the research back in 2019, 2018, right, with my students who were my students back then. And 19, I also created a collaboration with Kids with Autism School in New York City. And there's a principal and the researcher came in. We did discuss with them because I believe in participatory research where we involve the community. And so 2019, and guess what happened to 2020? You remember what happened? You guys don't remember, right? What happened in 2020? Pandemic, that's right. So we lost all the robots. At March 10 or 11, everything closed down. So my students were working the research said, what are we going to do now? So what we did was we came up with a simulation scenario. So what you're going to see here is that how we have the robot, we started working in the physical world, and then we went to the simulated world. So let me show you here.
Mobile iOS app. Just video demo.
So this is the physical
You can
robot.
use your voice to control the Cosmo to find the cube. Let's get started. Keep the following commands in mind. Turn left. Turn right. Go straight.
Go straight. Turn left.
Oh, use the voice command I just told you. Let Cosmo find his charger. Let's get started. Turn left.
So this is the mobile robot solution we had. So there's the mobile phone, and then it basically.
Features, we design a web interface dashboard. Here's the video demo. Parents can log in our web system to observe their children's performance. They can search for a specific type like greeting or turn taking. When they click the detail button, it will show up all the conversation content.
So this was the idea that I had was that we want to make sure that whatever the kids are doing, we can have that information because then we can see the progress over time, right? By the way, I want to mention that this is a Chris project. So my student worked on the year on this project, and then he works now at Google. So I'm going to stop here, and I want to come back, maybe put in my first slide back here. If you have any question, you can email me. And I would love people to collaborate with. I'm always open to that. And I have 3 minutes left, so I want to ask anybody have any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Azhar. Is there anybody that would like to either put a question in the chat or go ahead and unmute themselves and ask the question directly? We welcome that.
Yeah, I have a question. Going back to that self-driving car example, I've been in one of those Waymo cars. It's quite surreal. How do we address, because there have been incidents where the cars have been responsible for accidents. How do we make those decisions? Maybe you could talk more about that, how we make those ethical dilemmas that the car outlines.
Yeah, I think that's a very difficult problem, right? Because it's a human and the industry wants to do whatever they want to do. But I guess those things has to be explored because it's a very hard decision for the robot to do or like vehicles to do. And what is the right thing? Like as a human, when we drive car, like when you try to get in an accident, I mean, what do? You try to save as many people humanly possible, right? I mean, but those are very difficult question, I guess. I don't have a answer to that because I'm not sure also like I think that more research has to be done on that. And then hopefully more of us can come in together and then suggest something like what would be the right thing to do. Because as a human, hopefully its robots could be flawless and not going to be no accident. Because if all the robots drive, there's going to be less room for accident. I think it's the human error is a lot of the time, we have issues, right? Because so human and robot together in the street is a problem. But if you have all robot in the street, then you probably have less problem because you have more control. You can control those robot, however you want. But not like when you have human in the robot. So if you think about Minority Report, if you movies like that, where they show like robot driving, autonomous car, they're all robot. They're all basically, you just is a passenger there, and you have, you have control, but not heavy control, right? Yeah. Hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it's a challenge. Thank
It's
you.
a challenge. Absolutely, yes. I put my LinkedIn profile if you want to join, add me to it. And thank you so much for letting me speak over here. I hope that I hopefully some of you are interested in robotics research and get into it. There's more people needs to be in there in this field. We're still in the beginning, on the robot world. Hope to hear from some of you soon, and wish you all the best. Thank you.
And actually, Dr. Azhar, before you go, there was a request for you to share your contact information again in the chat.
I put the LinkedIn link here, and also my email. I can put it over here.
Okay, that would be great.
Yes.
Okay, so we have actually reached the end of the full hour. I'm sure there would be many more questions if we could keep going a little bit longer, but we do have to stop here. Thank you so much, Dr. Azhar, for enlightening us, giving this very interesting talk. And we look forward to seeing you again and all the attendees here again on the panel on May 6th.
Thank you so much, folks. You guys have a nice weekend.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Take care. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Take care.
Ron, I have a quick question. Do I need to prepare a slide for the next one, or just gonna be more panel discussion?
No, that'll be more panel discussions, sort of thing.
Okay.
We'll develop some general questions. Hopefully the audience will ask lots of questions. We'll develop some general questions, send them to you in advance, you and all the panelists. And it can be a little bit informal, and I'm just going to stop the recording here.